She'll say it casually, in passing, with a laugh, with a tone that sounds harmless, but what you don't realize is this. When a woman is cheating with someone close to you, she never hides it directly. She hides it in plain sight. And her words? They always leave a crack in the story. It won't sound like a confession. It will sound like a joke, a comparison, a story about a friend. But the Stoic man hears more than the sentence. He hears the shift in energy, the subtle deflection, the need to mention a name, just enough to see if you'll notice. This video isn't for men who want drama. It's for men who want awareness, because betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it's the one you trust most, with the one you never saw coming. And if you ignore the signs, you're not just blind, you're willingly blind. Before we begin, comment this. Have you ever had a gut feeling about someone close to you, and later found out you were right? Let's talk about it, not for pain, but for power. At first, it sounds like a compliment. She's comparing you to another man and telling you that you're the better one. But when a woman says you're so much better than him, and especially when she says it about someone you both know, you should stop hearing the words and start reading the intent. This kind of statement is rarely about building you up. It's about covering something up. She's bringing his name into the conversation for a reason. Out of all the men in the world, why him, why now, and why does she need to compare? In most cases, it's because her attention has already drifted. And this line is meant to ease your suspicion before it forms. Women who cheat rarely admit it outright, but they do leave signs. Verbal smoke to hide the emotional fire. By praising you while referencing another man, she attempts to pre-approve the connection in your mind. She frames it as harmless, but any mention of another man in contrast to you is a deflection tactic. The Stoic man doesn't fall for emotional sugarcoating. He listens to patterns. And when a woman praises you while name-dropping someone familiar, a friend, a co-worker, someone in your circle, he doesn't gloat. He gets quiet, not reactive, not accusatory, just aware. Why is this line so dangerous? Because it lowers your guard. It subtly makes you feel superior, validated, even grateful. And in that ego-boosted state, you're less likely to question her deeper intentions. Meanwhile, she's already emotionally engaging with the man she told you not to worry about. A calm, grounded response could be, "Interesting choice to compare me to him. Something you're trying to balance out?" Not sarcastic, not needy, just clear. That line signals that you heard what she didn't say, and that you won't ignore emotional inconsistencies just because they come wrapped in flattery. So remember, when her words say you're better but her tone carries tension, she's not praising you. She's hiding something, and the man who hears beneath the compliment becomes the one who never gets played by it. When a woman says, "You're paranoid, he's just like a brother to me," she's not just defending a friendship. She's preemptively disarming your intuition. This phrase is almost never about the other man. It's about shutting down your ability to question without looking insecure. Here's what makes this line dangerous. It frames your awareness as weakness. It says, if you notice anything, it must be your problem. But the truth is, most betrayal starts exactly here, in emotional proximity disguised as platonic safety. And women know this. They feel when something's brewing before it becomes physical. A man who's just like a brother shouldn't even be a subject of defense. His name shouldn't come with emotion. But if she says this line with irritation, defensiveness, or a forced smile, what she's really doing is protecting something she doesn't want examined. The Stoic man doesn't argue. He doesn't beg for access to her private thoughts. He simply watches. He knows that energy never lies. If she gets louder when you get still, she's trying to talk over something her actions can't hide. And sometimes her tone reveals more than her words ever will. It's also important to recognize the psychological manipulation baked into this line. Paranoia implies irrationality, so if she can get you to question yourself, your gut, your logic, your masculinity, she regains control not by telling you the truth, but by making you feel crazy for seeking it. A calm but precise response might be, if nothing's there, there's no need to label my awareness as paranoia. I read energy, not just words. Delivered without tension, this line reclaims your frame. You're not accusing, you're observing, and she knows it. So next time you hear he's like a brother, don't argue. Just slow down, watch everything. Because in her need to discredit your instinct, she may have just confirmed exactly what you were sensing. At first glance, this sounds innocent, even caring. Maybe she's asking why you've drifted apart from a friend. Maybe she's trying to understand your social circle. But when the man she's asking about is the same man she laughs a little too loudly with, texts too often, or casually mentions, the question carries a hidden agenda. Why don't you hang out with him anymore? Isn't always curiosity. Sometimes it's deflection. She's not just talking about your friendship. She's subtly trying to gauge how close you still are with the very man she may be growing emotionally closer to herself. It's a test, a temperature check. Why? Because if you say you're not close anymore, or worse, if you express discomfort, she hears opportunity. Opportunity to deepen her bond with him without guilt. If she can convince herself that you don't value the connection anymore, she creates a personal loophole for what she's already feeling. The Stoic man doesn't overreact to questions like this. He doesn't scramble to explain why he backed off. He hears what's underneath the question. And more importantly, he observes when a woman takes interest in a man you've pulled away from, after you've already sensed something was off. If you've distanced yourself from someone because of intuition, and she starts defending or reinserting that man into your shared conversations, it's not about him. It's about her emotional alignment shifting. And that shift rarely happens by accident. A response that brings the truth forward without starting a fight. I trust my gut when I step back from people, curious that you'd bring him up. You don't accuse, you don't explain, you just plant a mirror and watch what she does with the reflection. Because when a woman starts showing more interest in your distance from a man than in your closeness to her, she's not defending a friendship. She's defending an attachment she hasn't admitted to yet. When a woman says, "He actually listens to me, unlike you," she's not just expressing frustration. She's drawing a direct comparison between you and another man and doing it with emotional charge. That charge is not accidental. It's meant to sting, but more importantly, it's meant to reveal. This line isn't just about being heard, it's about validation and where she's starting to get it. When she frames another man as a better emotional partner than you, especially someone you both know, she's already shifted part of the emotional bond away from you, whether consciously or not. It's not just the insult you should focus on, it's who she's talking about. This isn't a nameless therapist, it's someone within reach. Someone she has access to and someone she wants you to notice. Because this comparison is doing two things at once, pushing you down and elevating him in your mind. The Stoic man doesn't defend himself emotionally here. He doesn't beg to be understood. He doesn't start listing all the times he did listen. He goes quiet, not out of defeat but out of clarity. Because when a woman begins to name other men as emotional allies, what she's really telling you is where her attention now lives. This statement often comes during tension, when she feels unheard, unseen, or disconnected. But instead of seeking to reconnect with you, she leverages someone else's presence to reassert her own value. That's not communication. That's emotional triangulation. and it's a red flag. A firm but calm response might be, if you feel more heard by someone else, maybe you should speak with him more often. I don't compete for attention I used to already have. No shouting, no begging, just quiet strength, the kind that leaves an impact without needing volume. Because when she starts weaponizing another man's emotional availability against you, she's already rehearsing the role of the woman in transition. And the man who sees that clearly eats and keeps his dignity is the one who walks away respected, even if she never says it. When a woman says, "I don't even find him attractive, relax," the problem isn't the denial. It's the need for denial in the first place. Because genuine disinterest rarely requires defense. When someone truly doesn't matter, they don't even show up in the conversation. But when she brings him up and then quickly erases meaning from it, she's showing you the exact thing she wants to hide. Here's the key: this sentence is reactive. It only comes after you've noticed something. Maybe her body language changes when he's around. Maybe she lights up when his name is mentioned. Maybe you picked up on a vibe that doesn't match her words, so she senses your awareness and moves fast to discredit it. But discrediting it through denial doesn't clear the energy. It amplifies the suspicion. Because when a woman offers reassurance without you demanding it, and does it too quickly, she's not just talking to you. She's trying to convince herself too. And that's the real giveaway. The Stoic man doesn't jump into the trap of needing proof. He doesn't demand she admit attraction. He doesn't spiral into jealousy. Instead, he listens to the pattern beneath the language. He understands that this isn't about what she says. It's about why she needed to say it at all. Let's break the structure of the phrase, "I don't even find him attractive." Why even? Why emphasize rejection of attraction? That kind of overcorrection only appears when something inside her already crossed an internal boundary. Maybe not physically, but emotionally, possibly, mentally, probably. And this sentence is her unconscious way of calming the noise in her own head. Also, notice the use of relax. It's not an invitation, it's a redirection. It implies you're overreacting, that your perception is flawed. It tries to put you on the defensive so she can stay in control of the emotional frame. But the man who's truly grounded doesn't relax when told. He reads when pushed. A grounded response might sound like this: "Strange that his name keeps coming up, and strange that you'd feel the need to label him unattractive." People usually don't do that unless something's shifted. No accusation, no anger, just calm, inconvenient truth awareness. You're not fighting, you're reflecting. So next time she tells you to relax while denying something you never directly accused her of, don't defend your sanity, just watch. Because when a woman begins to verbally push a man out of your mind, it's often because he's already moved into hers. It's not like "I'm sleeping with him" or something. She says it casually, maybe even with a laugh. But inside that sentence lies everything she doesn't want to say directly. Because when someone isn't doing something, they don't usually feel the need to defend it. This isn't a statement of truth, it's a preemptive defense against your intuition. Let's be clear. Women rarely speak in absolutes unless they feel pressure. If she blurts this out when you haven't even accused her, when you haven't even brought up the idea, what she's doing is revealing guilt by rushing to denial. It's a verbal shield she throws up before you start digging. Stoic awareness teaches this. What's being denied without cause is often more revealing than what's openly admitted. This kind of phrase is meant to shut you down by jumping several steps ahead. If she can bring up the worst-case scenario first, then dismiss it. She regains control of the emotional conversation. But here's what most men miss. The structure of this sentence is reactive and exaggerated. Why would she go that far? Why bring up sex if that wasn't even the context? Because internally, she's already playing defense against something real. Emotional tension, private messages, flirtation, conflicted loyalty. The behavior may not be physical, but it's already active. The Stoic man doesn't fall into the trap of reacting emotionally. He doesn't scream or interrogate. He slows down. He observes. Because this isn't about the act of sleeping with someone. It's about how close to that threshold she already is, and how far she's willing to go to keep you from noticing. One sentence can shift the entire power dynamic. That's an oddly specific thing to deny, especially unprovoked. Delivered calmly, without sarcasm, this line shows you're not controlled by emotion, but you see the frame behind the words. It forces her to confront the awkwardness of her own deflection. Ultimately, when she speaks like this, she's not talking to you. She's talking to her guilt. And when a woman argues with her guilt out loud, pay attention. Because even if her body hasn't crossed a line, her mind already has. And often, it's only a matter of time before one follows the other. Most men hear the words, but don't read the energy. And by the time they do, the damage is done. Not because they were weak, but because they were emotionally blind by choice. This video wasn't about suspicion. It was about vision. The ability to recognize when her words don't match her behavior, and to stay grounded in truth no matter how sweet the lie sounds. Every sentence you heard today wasn't just a phrase. It was a pattern, a signal, a moment where the truth leaked through the performance. The man who ignores these moments lives in denial. The man who observes without emotion moves with clarity. And in relationships, clarity is power. So now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Which line have you heard before? And what did your gut say the moment she said it? Don't hold back. Your comment might be the wake-up call another man needs right now. If this sharpened your awareness, subscribe to Masculine Stoic Mind. Because this isn't a place for bitter men. It's where men evolve through silence, self-control, and strategy.